Welcome everyone. I'm Diane Smith, and on behalf of the Melbourne Chamber of Commerce, it's great to see so many wonderful faces, and it's been, I have to say, such a challenging week here in Victoria. And for the next 30 minutes, please just sit back, relax and enjoy a fascinating business story. You don't have to worry about anything. And today the story is all about the Joval Wine Group. Now, I am sitting here, or standing here, in the corporate office of Joval. It's in Abbotsford, it's on the banks of the Guerra. There's very few people in here, just skeleton staff. And just safely distanced from me is John Valmorbida, the owner and founder of the Joval Wine Group. Without any further ado, I'm just going to now pass over to Paul Guerra. Over to you, Paul.
Thanks, Diane, and welcome everybody. I'm really excited about today because I get to meet one of my business heroes. I've heard about John Valmorbida. I've never met John Valmorbida, and today I get the pleasure to not only meet John, but to talk to John as well. I've worked with a lot of people, John, that you've trained along the way. I've followed your business with interest along the journey, and it's going to be a great conversation as we unpick some of the insights into your business. So welcome.
Welcome, Paul. Yeah, thank you.
So how did it all start? Family business? I know you're a strong family man. I hear that around the traps, but was the beginnings of what the business is today?
Well, you know, my dad came to Australia in '52, and he was a racing car driver. He wanted to, he was only here for a short period, he thought, and that was to make enough money to go back to Italy and buy another racing car. He always blamed himself.
So that was the dream?
That was the dream, simple as that. And he was on the wave of assisted immigration. And when he was here, he then started realising that that there was no pasta and anchovies, olives, all these staples, you know, wine.
Yeah.
And so he'd go back to Italy. He worked for a retail shop, and then he then Frank Agostino's, and then he went back to Italy, finding those products, bringing them back into Australia, and selling it to the immigrants. And for example, the boats would come here dropping off the new Australia, and then he would sell product to the boat, all the Italians who were on the boat. And then he got caught. So that became his
You got hooked on Australia.
Hooked on Australia. Every time he went back to Italy, though, he'd be talking up Australia to his friends.
Of course, back then, what's the trip? 2 to 3 months?
Back then, it was about, I think, 7 stops in an aeroplane. Yeah. But over there, he just kept on rapping Australia, and here he'd complain about Australia and rapping Italy. So he was sort of in between the two countries. And for me to be part of that family and be close to him, there was no separation between family and business. It was, you know, Christmas dinner was, you know, bang, throwing instructions like a mini board meeting.
Did he let you get a word in?
No, totally. We used to clash because he was very, you know, he had very strong opinions, and unfortunately I did too. So we used to clash, but we had a period where he was the person who taught me everything. You know, he was my university.
Fabulous. So with that, great grounding from someone that you clearly respected, learn a lot from, as you say, your university. Did you evolve your approach to business, and what is it now? Bit of him, bit of others that you see. What is your approach to business?
It's interesting because I always think that if you get a good manager, say, you know, that's fantastic, and they'll teach you. But if you get a bad manager, you know, you'll develop things that you won't do if you ever get in that position. And like with my father, is that he never empowered anyone because he was he was a genius in what he did. He was such a powerful individual that I just couldn't get any oxygen. So that was one part that I've sort of learned, that all I want to do is do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I finally broke away. It was very hard, and that's been one of my real things, empowerment. I think people, you know, it's important that you get paid. Yeah, they get paid well, and they enjoy the company they're working with. But they want some personal fulfillment, just to have that sense of I've done something, and I can make decisions no matter where you are in a company, because that's how I felt.
Yeah.
So that's one of them. Another Another one was, I remember coming out of a meeting with him one day, and he just told this, we're in negotiation to buy something, and he told these guys everything, just the whole story. And I came out and said, why did you do that? Like they could really, they could hook us or, you know, whatever. And he said, I'm not smart enough to tell a lie. That was one. And secondly, and if they are crooks, they won't believe me anyway, because they won't think I'm telling them the truth. And I sort of took that as being like a mantra.
Yeah.
And it was about winning, but winning in a certain way, not winning at all costs, because it wasn't about money. It was about achievement or creating something. You know?
Fabulous. So empowerment and being upfront, being honest, which would have been for him really brave in that environment, an immigrant coming to Australia and starting again. Business is in your blood. I mean, you're born into business and you work your life, you know, in business as well. And you've managed really successful, and we'll go over that in terms of the business that you run. What do you enjoy most about it? Because some people would prefer to work in it rather than own it. You clearly want to own it, set the vision and drive it. But what do you enjoy most about it?
Well, I think, you know, it's probably the singular thing. I love the journey. You know, I like, if things are going really well, it can get a bit boring. I think to have the challenges and then watching a team get together, a well-oiled team that executes, where you know you look around and you say that we're all just chipping away at this, and we've got an outcome. And it's not about the actual result. It's you know, I really enjoy that. I love watching young people fly. You know, and you know, and again, that's probably back to where I was. You know, in my early with my father, I was just trying to get a kick. That's how I felt. So I've sort of come to the table where if I see someone that I admire, and then I back them and help them and mentor them. So I really enjoy that. And it's the journey, it's not the end. I think, and I learned that when I was doing triathlon. I used to do that for a long period. Is that, you know, I'd be going to the finishing line saying that is the last one I will ever do.
Yeah.
And within half an hour, you're planning your next one.
You're back into it.
You're back into it, and it's just all the hard work that goes into something, and you have an achievement which is about just completing something, not necessarily the rewards that are generated from it.
Fabulous. And just for everybody online, if you've got a question, please put your hand up or type it in, or actually just jump in and dial flagger with me, and we'll ask the question. Most people won't realise that Serena tuna, which was the yellow can with the red, still is, that's right. Lavazza coffee, which you can forget that blue and white, which I'm sure you had a hand in with the Carlton colours there, are in Australia because of you.
No, they're not, in fact. They're my father.
Oh, okay.
He developed a relationship with Lavazza 35, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And then Serena, the same. He started importing Serena from Italy as one of those products that the Italians, it's a staple in Italy. Yeah. So he imported someone else's brand, and then he started developing his own brand, which is Serena, and then imported that. Then he started manufacturing it in Australia. In the end, they had fishing vessels fishing for it. So when you look at Lavazza, I look at Lavazza and Serena, and I've had a long involvement in both of those, and I still have with Serena. Yeah. As that's my indirect inheritance. I have a responsibility. I never felt directly connected because, I just
you took it off.
I took it off my father. And I had a responsibility to the broader family with Serena, and then Lavazza. I found myself having to run it, and it was a real dilemma. Do I jump in and treat it like it's my own, or like I do with the wine group, or do I just become a non-exec?
But it speaks to a bit about the diversification there. And I know talking earlier, you talked about actually looking ahead, and that's been part of the mantra of what you've done. Tell us a bit about that, diversifying the business, which was a good business when you took it over, but an even better business into what it's become. And we'll talk about what it's become in a minute. But that diversification in business, that's important.
Well, so I've never. This might surprise you, but I've never thought it was a good business. I've always.
Is that right?
Yeah, I've always been I don't know. A lot of people think I'm a full forward, and I'm always chasing, you know, and trying to put a score in, you know, and do new things. But I think I'm more of a full back. You know, I can see the dangers that are ahead of us, and if you don't innovate and change, then you get caught out. So, for example, those businesses, Serena, we own the brand as a family.
Yeah.
I did the distribution through a company that I owned.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in control of that, and now Serena does their own distribution.
Okay.
So I lost that to them. Lavazza, I did a good job with them for 30 years.
Yeah.
And then they know how to set up their own subsidiary.
Yeah.
So I always knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So you've got to diversify and change to stay in front of the curve. Like when the internet came in and everyone said the distributor is going to be squashed and there'll be no role, we bought into the logistics business because someone has to deliver a case of wine. You know, forget the internet; it'll happen in any case. And now we're developing our own brands on the other side, and as a protection for our distribution, we've pressed into restaurants because distribution is vital in service. You know, so that's more important than in the retail area. So we're constantly on the hunt, to the extent that my role has been the future and development. I call myself, you know, I've made up the title, but the creative director of the organisation, which means I can go anywhere and do anything, but I can't run anything. I don't run it.
So you put people in charge to run those? You're sitting over the top.
Yeah, and I'll come to them like Tim and Frank's, and right throughout our journey, and they're the people who actually make the difference. I'm interested in our people, our culture, our brands. I love brands. You know what drives the whole organisation. So creative director and probably brand manager. Because you know, whether it's the company brand or the brands we represent, be it Lavazza, Serena, or you know, Nanny Goat Vineyard and Catalina Sounds and Sean Smith.
So let's talk a bit about some of those brands. But I love what you described then as the fullback. Carlton supporter. It's very hard for me to sit across the couch from a Carlton supporter, being an Essendon supporter after the weekend's result. But the fullback, you're right, sees the whole play opening up in front of them, and you can see the gaps. And you've moved into the restaurant, King and Godfrey, brilliant, on Lygon Street and the different levels that are there. Pitta Pippo Gelato, brilliant. Gelato is as much Carlton as anything else is as well. The Fine Wine Co, with a series of brands and great brands of wine that sit within that. And Plum Glassware, which has been around now for some time in Australia, off the back of your creation. So you've taken these new ideas, seen the gap in the market. How have you then commercialised, which are now, in the case of Plum, is absolutely a household brand?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I've again, you've got this wrong, is that I didn't do Pitta Pippo, that's my kids.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah. And,
so it's gone down this is the third generation of entrepreneurship with your children.
They're having a real go.
Fantastic.
I'm involved, and we finance, the family company finances the kids. This is Lisa and Jamie. And we formalise the structures. We have a board. I've got someone else who chairs the board. You know, Frank, who you know, chairs the board to keep it, away from Dad. I'm trying to sort of break that dynamic the best I can, so I can preserve, or give the family the best chance to stay together as friends. So that they're doing that, and then and they're driving that. Now, the question you asked, Paul, was how do I
commercialise the new ideas that you're obviously seeing, standing from the vantage point and introducing. How do you commercialise it? Because one thing to have the idea, it's the next thing to actually bring it to life.
I think it's I put an enormous amount of energy into building a dream around something. So it's like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a film director. And I've sort of taken that to business, and that's that creative director routine, is that I like conducting conducting something, and I think I know how it should look, and I chase it. So we put a lot of energy into building the dream of, and the vision, and then we get real pros, professional people, and specialists into the various areas to chase the dream. And it's not a coincidence that the structure, if you go right back to the start of our journey, back in the 90s, is that I played the role of creative director and brand. So it was brand first. So everything, or whether it's Lavazza or whether it's the company brand first. Then I've had Frank Krapps, who was finance and services.
Yeah.
So and then we had another gentleman, David Jemison, who used to look after sales.
Yeah.
And if you looked at it through a different prism, I'd look probably 10 years ahead.
Yeah.
Dave would look probably 3 or 4 years ahead, 2 years ahead, and Frank was now.
Yeah.
Get out there and go. And we just believed in each other, and we gave each other the space that if any one of the three of us didn't agree, we would talk it out until we got an agreement. So it was a real consensus, and that's carried on to our new brigade. With Tim Menting as CEO, he comes from a finance background. He's got a broader strategic bent, and we've got a guy called Gary Crawford, who's based out of the Sydney office, who is a sales guy. So we're developing a similar sort of approach, in that empower people in various areas, get specialists and real professionals, keep their focus narrow, because then you can excel. If there's no one who can do everything, and then collaborate and team up between all the areas. And it's like the classic matchup. Carlton's trying to find one with Patrick Cripps. It's bloody hard though, because he's so good. But once you get everyone matching up and teaming up, then you can move mountains with it. It becomes so powerful.
Told you, I'm not talking Carlton. Can't talk Carlton. But it's interesting how so much of what you spoke about then goes back to the university of your dad that you spoke about. Did you ever see yourself as an entrepreneur, or was it truly as that creative director, that movie director, rather than an entrepreneur?
It depends how you define entrepreneur, because I've never been driven by the bottom line, like cash, and making money. I don't see a business as being a singular thing.
Yeah.
I see all the component parts, and if you do that successfully, you build the right teams, the right culture, you represent brands, then you create a good business, and then the profits come, and then you feed them back into the business, and then you feed it back into your team, and you look after your team. So it's like a circle. So again, it's probably like a good film. You see a good film where you get all the actors. It's seamless. You can't. The script, everything works. The music, everything's sort of working together.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm after. So is that to be an entrepreneur? Probably in your definition is risk taker, or someone who chases. But I'm a fullback. Probably an attacking fullback.
Yeah.
So but if I'm thinking down the track, there's a degree of change. Everything I want to change everything.
Yeah. Because
I can see that it might be working today, but it's not going to work tomorrow. Yeah. So you create that energy and that movement throughout an organisation, rather than being an administrator, just managing something.
Well, I love that view, and I'd recommend it when we're able to go back to the footy. Anybody to stand down and in behind the goals and actually look at the play unfold, because that's exactly what you're talking about when you do that. Now, Di, I know we've got a question from the audience.
Yeah, look, John, Rob Mackay, who's from Pitch Partners, was wanting to know, can you tell us a little bit about the challenges and lessons you learned when you're setting up a digital product, such as the wine club, as you've done there?
God blimey, that's going to be hard quickly. Digital, you have to rely on people who have the information. Yeah. And we found the expertise, and we've thrown a lot of money at it, a lot of energy at it, and haven't got many results because we haven't had someone like we've sort of delegated it down the line, but we really haven't understood it. Whereas this is probably the third time we've had a crack at it and spend money. But It's really that we want to understand it. So we've sort of brought it in. If it makes sense, because at the end of the day, it's just a distribution system, which is an efficient distribution system. So all the principles of sales, marketing, communication, they all apply in that space. So you don't hand pass it and let it run. It's almost got to be top down, otherwise don't get into it. And another point on that is that, and you mentioned before, how do you bring these products to market, new ideas to market? We call them a point person. There needs to be someone you trust. They don't have to be superstars, but someone you really trust to give you straight answers, and they've done the work and explored to be responsible. If you have a committee, and everyone's talking with not that person responsible, then it becomes noise. And if you haven't got that person, then it can cost you a lot of money, and you can find yourself, like I remember my son dialing into our first attempt, and he said, "Listen, I can't even get through this. I've got to put in a password. I've got to da-da-da-da." And he went on, and I remember just from that one experience with him, I realised that it wasn't going to work.
So customer journey is really important in that digital piece.
I don't know if that answers the question, but we're still, it's the future, and we're working really hard on it. And the other issue is that it's very hard to cannibalise your own business. I think that's something that if you're running smoothly, it's hard to introduce something that, because everyone's defending their turf around it. So culturally, it's a problem. So our best results are we separate it and give it its own life and own oxygen. So it's got a chance.
Different people have been doing different things through COVID, depending on what they've faced. And I know, talking to yourself, Tim and Frank, this has not been an easy time for you through the COVID crisis, particularly as the hospitality sector has closed down. The key challenges that you've seen, how do you address those through COVID? And hopefully we're not too far out, coming out the other side, who will know, but certainly you, like many other businesses, have had some challenges in this period.
Yeah, well, I think we went into this, the crisis in really good nick. We had a great team, and we were performing. The wind was in our sails as an organisation. So at the start of it, no one knew where it was going to go, and I was convinced that we would get through to the other side because of that. Because of the people we've got, and culture. And we sat around. We lost 60% of our, close to 60% of our turnover, because we're really strong.
How quickly? Instantaneously?
Almost like a switch, like immediate. It dropped a bomb, and then we had all these. We have debts all around the country, from small restaurants. So you can imagine how quickly they were paying us, and how difficult that was. So we needed new funding, because we had a debt funding line from our banks. So we had all these issues, and on top of that, which I think is the hidden story of this whole thing, is working from home. Like, give me a break. Is that, but everyone just talks as if that's work from home and you'll be fine and you can Zoom each other. In our business, we are so reliant on collaboration and feeling the heartbeat of our business. You can't do it on Zoom. You can get through certain bigger things, but when it comes to the nuances of businesses, like you go and see a concert live, because you can go and watch
experience.
You can see the same guys on Netflix tonight for free, but you need to feel it. So we had all those challenges to deal with, and I can tell you I'm pretty proud of where we sit. We're not over it yet, but we've kept all our people. They've all made sacrifices, the whole company, and they all made a decision to do it as one. And then we had a team of people. This is our key management. All of them have been fantastic, and we sat down and we said, we're not going to panic. Number one. Number two is that we're going to respond after we get some clear information. We're not going to respond early. Two, we want to hold our people. So there was and protect our business, because this won't go on forever. So we had those simple rules, And then we said, we've got to stay fresh.
Yeah.
Right. So we sort of factored out. I probably did a better job than any, because Tim and Gary and Frank, they worked really, really hard and then beyond them. But I just kept on saying to myself is that I'm not, I'm too old to cop this again.
Yeah.
So I backed off, and they told me to back off, because and they took the heat, and I found myself again just being the creative director of our decisions, and sort of being able to brainstorm stuff and then assist and mentor as we sort of move to the other side. And it's been the making of a lot of people in this company.
Yeah.
And I think, as I said, I'm proud of the team, is that we've got a very strong heartbeat. And it's interesting is that we've kept our team, and they've now a lot of them been redeployed into retail.
Yeah.
So our retail business has really gone through the roof.
So the three themes again, trust, empowerment, and people.
Yeah.
Are coming through even in this. And Diane, I know there's one more from the audience.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Very quickly, from Agostino Giramondo from Car Sales. John, can you tell us a little bit about the challenges? You just opened the refurbished King of Godfrey, and by the way, great name for a restaurant. I just wanted to throw that in. Agostino's, everyone. Just considering the investment you made in that project, any last comments on the heartbreak
of opening and closing? Well, this again, I've got to defer to my son has done it now. He's had the best university you could have from this whole thing. That's he's just learned it through this experience. We had to close. If it wasn't for JobKeeper, it would have been even for us. It would have that's been a godsend. We just kept on hanging on, waiting, and then luckily, thank God, we got some assistance. Now with King Godfrey, the same thing applied. So we ended up with a small team of people, and they may have to make a decision whether they would go retail, try to re-engineer the business, or just close the thing and run away.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they had a crack, and they've now created a retail business with takeaway and home deliveries, which is really thriving. To the extent now they're challenging the previous model. They're thinking, they won't go back to what it was.
Yeah.
They're using this as an opportunity to refresh, even though it was brand new, and refresh the team, refresh where they want to take it. And I'm convinced it'll be a better product. It was a great product before, which made us all very proud, and Agostino's in particular. But I think it'll be a better product when we come back. When that is, we don't know.
I can highly recommend it, having eaten there on a number of occasions, and you, the guy that helped you set it up as well.
I think Ag's just saying thank you for the answer.
Yeah, I've eaten there too, and it was great. So as long as we can keep Agostino's, I'm happy.
It's actually open now for 20. I think that they can do 2 sittings at 20, and they can have 20 in the cellar for an event. They haven't opened Johnny's Green Room on the roof as yet. Yeah.
Great views up there.
Yeah.
Hey, we're nearly at time. I'm going to ask you one more question, then throw to Di to close. You've inspired so many, and as I said at the start, I've met a lot of people that have worked for you along the way, and they tell me how great you are to work for, and they talk about the empowerment. Who inspires you? What's been your journey in terms of who you look up to along the way?
God, that's my father. I mentioned him. I think it's my colleagues.
Yeah.
My colleagues. When I see what they do and how they go about it, I think I love that. I've really got a lot out of football. I was involved with Carlton. I just like that environment. The cutthroat sort of watching that and relating that back. And there's been like so many mentors on the way. The other thing is friends. Friends who have been really close friends who have been through not only good times and successes, but their bad times. Just watching how they respond. And seeing how, what business means to them, and watching people's lifestyles just tumble and they keep their dignity at that level, and just, putting everything into perspective. But I've never felt that you opened up and gave me a big rap. I've never felt that because I'm part of a team. I've just got one you know, and I play one small part in a team. So we're all equal. I get a lot of inspiration from our competitors with the full backing me. You know, seeing all the good things that they're doing. I never underrate them, and that gets you on your bike to go. People in other industries, you know, you watch, you know, this Obama. How does a man get through that mess that is America and keep his total integrity for that journey of 8 years? It's just incredible, you know, like, you know, things like that. You know, I sort of draw in from everywhere. I don't just stick to business because it's not about, to me, this is not business. This is more than that. This is our lives, you know.
Yeah.
It's an important part of our life. We're building a community. So the inspiration, my mother, she's like been the rock through all this. You can imagine that volatile Italian family and business and family connected. My wife, you know, where we don't bring business home.
Yeah.
And we're trying to protect the kids into this next generation from all the mistakes that were made.
Yeah.
Or, you know, in terms of family and business being all connected. Just on that score, it's important that when your kids start moving in, you know, I think family businesses are really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Because they instill a culture which is long term.
Yeah.
It's not just an immediate bottom line driven thing. But you have to formalise that even more so than even in a corporate environment.
Yeah.
You know, with formalities of boards and have our independent people, you know, residing where. I think if I look back in my past, there was no formality because Dad just called the shots.
Yeah.
So, and he couldn't get it right. He was trying his hardest, but he found it so hard to get everyone pegged into the right spot.
Fascinating. John, you've been an inspiration over many, many years. You've left an indelible mark on Melbourne as well. You're a wonderful person. It's such a great story, but most importantly, you're a proud Victorian. Thanks for spending time with us today. I've loved it. Absolutely loved it.